The collective had conquered 17 star systems. They had done this without any real fighting. Their ships would arrive, they would send a message, and the aliens on those worlds would give up. It was always the same. No species wanted to die, so they chose to live as slaves instead. Admiral stood on the bridge of his command ship and looked at the small blue planet on his screen. Earth. The humans called it Earth. He had studied their radio signals for many weeks now. He knew about their wars, their music, their strange emotions. He found them interesting but not impressive. They are divided into many nations, his second officer reported. They fight each other constantly. They have nuclear weapons aimed at their own cities. They cannot even agree on how to save their own planet from pollution. Made a sound that meant he was amused. A species that wars with itself will not stand against us. They will be grateful when we bring order to their chaos. The fleet consisted of 300 warships. Each one was larger than any building on Earth. Their shields could stop any weapon humans had ever created. Their energy cannons could turn cities into glass. They had never lost a battle because no one had ever seriously tried to fight them. Gave the order and his fleet moved toward Earth. They stopped near the moon and sent their message. It was the same message they always sent, translated into every human language. People of Earth, we are the collective. We have claimed your world. You will surrender all military forces. You will accept our rule. You will serve the collective. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities one by one until you agree. If you continue to refuse, we will end your species completely. You have 72 hours to respond. Expected panic. He expected world leaders to fight each other for the chance to surrender first. He expected humans to show him their weakness. He did not expect what happened next. Captain was 34 years old. She had served in the Korean Space Defense Command for 12 years. She was not a politician or a general. She was just an officer on the orbital station, doing her job and waiting for retirement. When the alien message arrived, she expected chaos. Instead, she saw something strange. The world's leaders stopped arguing. The old enemies began talking. Within hours, a decision was made. Humanity would not surrender. And they chose to deliver the message. Why me? She asked the screen full of generals and presidents. Because you are not special, the American president said. No offense meant, but we want them to understand that every human feels this way. Not just our leaders, not just our heroes, everyone. Understood, she was the message, an ordinary person saying extraordinary words. She stood before the transmission console and took a deep breath. The entire world was watching. 8 billion people waited to hear what she would say to the aliens who threatened to kill them all. We received your message, began. Her voice was calm and clear. We understand your terms. Now you will understand ours. She paused and let the silence grow. We are not innocent. Do you understand what that means? We have fought each other for 10,000 years. We have burned great cities to the ground. We have dropped nuclear bombs on our own people. We have committed terrible crimes against ourselves, crimes that would make your conquests look gentle and kind. On his ship, Admiral leaned forward. This was not the response he expected.
Get on high ground.
Every weapon you see aimed at your ships right now was first designed to kill other humans, continued. Every soldier in our armies was trained to fight other humans. Every battle tactic we know came from wars against ourselves.
Yeah, this is too much
We have
in
been
the
practicing
open.
for
We're gonna
this
have to
moment
move.
our entire existence. You conquered 17 worlds. We know this because you told us. You are proud of it. But
Found
think
that guy.
about those worlds for a moment.
I need fucking ammo.
They were peaceful species. They evolved on planets where there was enough food, enough space, enough resources. They never needed to fight. They never learned how. We learned.
Nice.
We had no choice. Our world made us compete for everything.
Oh, he's fucking
The ones who
rolling.
could not fight died. The ones who survived became harder and more dangerous. We are
I don't know
what
what this shit is,
10,000
but fuck
years
it.
of war created. His eyes grew cold. You have given us 3 days to surrender. We will use those 3 days,
Where are you
but
taking
we
that?
will not use them to debate or negotiate.
Dakota?
We will use them to
You can
prepare,
take that.
to build more weapons, to position our forces,
Shut the fuck
to
up.
make sure that if you come for us, you will pay a price that will break your collective. This is not a threat, Admiral. This is a warning. Leave now. Tell your masters that Earth is not worth the cost. Tell them that some prey bites back.
There's someone right there.
Stay, and you will learn why humans
We
have
can go
always
towards
feared
this
each
right
other
here.
more than we could ever fear you.
Go on your left.
The transmission ended. Admiral sat in silence for a
Oh, yeah.
long time. His
Motherfuckers.
officers waited for him to speak, but he had no words. He had watched the woman's face as she spoke. She was not lying. She was not bluffing. She believed every word
Oh
she
my
said.
God.
Admiral, his second
Fuck
officer
this.
finally
Fuck
asked,
this.
"What are your orders?" Pulled up the history files on Earth again. He had read them before, but now he read them differently. He saw the wars, the genocides, the weapons, the endless cycle of violence that stretched back to the beginning of human civilization. He saw Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He saw the trenches of World War I filled
We
with
could
dead
move
bodies. He saw the
way.
Roman
Let's start getting
legions
up
and the
here.
Mongol
Yeah, where
hordes.
Becca's at.
He saw concentration camps and nuclear test sites.
Because
They
Sicko's
really have
coming
done this
in.
to themselves, he said quietly. All of this suffering, all of this death, and they are still here. They are weak, his tactical officer said. Their weapons cannot pierce our shields.
Actually, we should move
Perhaps, replied.
right here to yellow
But
already.
weapons are not the
'Cause
only
this-
thing that
oh,
wins
there's people here.
wars. I have conquered 17 worlds, and I have never seen a species look at certain death and
fucking-
respond with a warning instead of a
Okay.
plea. He closed the file
towards
and
yellow.
stared at the blue planet on his screen. We will wait, he decided. We will watch. I want to know what they do with their 72 hours. I want to understand what kind of creatures we are really dealing with.
Okay.
His officers exchanged
there's dead
confused
body
looks,
right here.
but they obeyed. The fleet held its position near the moon and watched. On Earth, humanity began to prepare for war.
What do you say?
Captain returned to her
I
station
say-
and found her hands
buy
were
this guy?
shaking. She
Are you
had
selling
spoken
yourself?
for all of humanity,
Hello?
and now she had to wait to see if her words had saved them or doomed
He's
them.
not selling himself.
Her communications officer, a young man named, approached her carefully. "Captain," he said, "that was the bravest thing I have ever seen." Shook her head. "It was not bravery, it was honesty. We really are everything I said. The question is whether that is enough."
And a car.
She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, 300 alien warships were deciding whether to destroy her world. "Get me a connection to Geneva,"
We gotta
she said.
move towards
"We have
circle. It's gonna
72
move
hours
pretty.
to show them what
Gonna move- we can
humanity
take the
can do."
zip.
This is a go.
No?
The clock
Or-
started
and then
ticking.
Go across, maybe? Or...
Lieutenant had served as a tactical analyst in Seoul
Right here.
for 5 years.
We can take the zip to get
He
on
had
the
spent
hill where
most of
yellow's
that
at.
time studying possible
heading towards
conflicts
someone.
with neighboring countries. He had war plans for every scenario.
Oh, yeah, okay,
But
so
he had
then do you
never
guys wanna not
imagined
go
a
that way then?
scenario
Because,
where every country on Earth became an ally.
Okay.
Yet here he was, sitting in a command center with
No, they're-
officers
no,
from
they're
12
right here.
different
There's-
nations,
Right there.
and
Yeah,
no
there's
one
a-
was
it's a whole
arguing.
squad, I think.
Russian nuclear submarines are moving to new
We could
positions,
do it. Fuck it.
a voice
Yeah, fuck
reported.
it. Let's go.
They are
Yeah.
sharing their locations with American command. Chinese satellite network is now linked to European
fuck.
defense systems.
Why is there so many
Another
people?
voice
One,
added.
two, how many is that?
Watch the map on his screen.
I just can't count or
Red
what?
dots and blue dots and green dots were moving, but they were
They
not
don't even
moving
see us,
against
dude.
each
That's
other.
crazy.
They were forming a
Okay,
pattern,
we're
a
shooting.
defensive pattern. "This is not possible," he whispered.
They have
The
their...
officer next to him, an American
Yep.
woman named
No, I
Miller,
don't have
heard
cover.
him.
Jump,
3
jump,
days
jump,
ago,
jump.
it was
I'm-
not
I'm healing
possible.
up.
Today, we have a common enemy. Amazing what that does to old hatreds.
That's all I have.
The plan was simple in concept and terrifying in execution. Earth could not win a direct fight against the fleet. Their shields were too strong. Their weapons were too powerful. Human missiles and bullets would
Yeah.
bounce off their ships like rain off a rock. But
That's
humanity
crazy.
did not plan to fight the ships. Humanity
Oh,
planned to fight the
no.
victory.
Not Dakota.
In Geneva, generals stood
It's fucking
before a
whole-
room of
it's a
world
whole pack
leaders
of
and military
fucking-
commanders.
What is his name
He was an
called?
old soldier who had seen many wars. He had never
Futurama.
liked politicians, and politicians had never liked him. But today, Everyone
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
cannot
revive?
stop them from taking Earth,
Yeah,
he
you have
said
to have
bluntly.
revive.
If they attack with full force, they will win. Our weapons
Dude,
are
I
not
think it's-
strong enough.
I don't know.
The room
No, I
grew
don't know how to do
quiet.
it on PC.
Some leaders looked afraid. Others looked angry.
You're
But
dead.
no one argued because they all knew he was right. However, continued, we can stop them from keeping Earth. We can make this
Thank you
planet
so much for
worthless to
stopping
them.
by, Echo.
We can make our defeat cost more than our surrender would have given them. He pressed a
Hopefully you
button,
can
and
catch
the
one of my
screen
Tekken,
behind him lit up with a
streams
map of
tomorrow
Earth.
or Sunday.
Red circles appeared at specific locations.
Probably
Volcanic
later in the night
zones,
or
fault lines,
evening.
nuclear power plants, and the orbital stations floating above. Every nuclear weapon
I
on
put one
Earth
more.
has been repositioned. They are now aimed at our own planet, at the places that keep Earth
Dude, look at
alive
them.
and
They're
stable.
fucking full squad.
A murmur of shock rippled through the room. If the attack said, we will trigger these weapons.
No, I didn't.
We will crack open volcanoes.
Not
We will
F.
cause
Kim K.
earthquakes. We will poison our oceans with radiation. We will destroy our
Yeah, I'm
own
not gonna
atmosphere.
spend money on her right now. What the
You are
fuck?
talking about destroying our own world, the French president said.
No one's
Yes,
complaining.
replied. I am talking about denying them their prize. They want a living planet full
That's
of
just fucking
slaves.
crazy.
We will give them a dead rock full of nothing. That is madness. No, said, that is humanity. We have done this before. Smaller scales, yes, but the pattern is always the
died.
same. When we cannot win, we make sure our enemies cannot win either. We would rather die free than live as slaves. The room fell silent again, but this time the silence was different. It was not fear, it was agreement.
I hit him more than
Admiral
150.
intercepted the
Still didn't break
transmissions.
shield.
They had very
Goddamn.
good technology for listening to human communications, and they heard everything. Read the translated reports 3 times. He did not believe them at first. They are aiming nuclear weapons at themselves, his second officer asked. At their own planet, confirmed. At the systems that keep their world habitable, they are threatening to destroy their entire biosphere. That makes no sense. If they do this, they will all die. Yes. Then it must be a bluff. No species would actually destroy itself. Called up more files from Earth's history. He found what he was looking for. In their Second Great War, he said,
Yeah, I
a
don't
group
like
of
this
soldiers on an island called Okinawa chose to jump off cliffs rather than be captured. Thousands of them, soldiers and civilians together. They believed death was better than defeat. He found another file. In an ancient city called Masada, a group of humans killed themselves and their families instead of surrendering to an enemy army. Every single one, almost 1,000 people. Another file. A single pilot flew his aircraft into an enemy ship, knowing he would die just to cause damage. This happened thousands of times in the same war. They called them kamikaze.
Fuck.
Closed the files. This is not a bluff, he said. This is what humans do.
may or may
They
not
would
make
rather cease to exist than submit. It is built into their nature. His tactical officer looked troubled. Then what do we do? If we attack, they destroy themselves and we gain nothing. If we do not attack, we show weakness to the other worlds we have conquered. That said, is exactly the problem. On Earth, the preparations continued.
I think
Sergeant Bora led her unit through the streets of Seoul. They were fortifying the subway tunnels, turning them into bunkers and military positions. It was hard work, but no one complained. My grandmother walked from Pyongyang to during the war in 1950, Bora told her soldiers as they worked. She was 16 years old. She had no shoes. She ate grass to survive, but she never gave up. She lifted another sandbag and placed it on the growing wall. If she could survive that, we can survive this. Humans do not break easily. The aliens will learn this. A young private named looked up at the sky through a gap in the subway entrance. Do you think they will attack? I do not know, Bora admitted. But I know this, if they come, they will pay for every street, every building, every room. We will make them remember Earth for 1,000 years. The hours passed,
Who's
48
shooting?
hours
Oh, right
remained,
here on the
then
hill, yep.
36, then 24. The world held its breath.
He's mine.
In orbit, Captain
here,
watched the
bitch.
fleet through her station's sensors. The alien ships had not
No, just
moved
take
since
him
their
inside. You
ultimatum.
can finish him.
They were waiting, watching. They are scared, said
He's in
quietly.
here.
Shook her head.
Shut the.
Not
right here.
scared, confused.
I'll shut the door for you.
They have never seen anything like us before.
There you go.
They are trying to understand
Hey,
what we are.
He left.
What are we?
Where'd he go?
Thought
Go
about the
get
question.
me. Go get
She thought about human history,
got
all
it,
the
I got it.
wars, all the
I
cruelty,
got it.
all the pain that people had caused each other, but also the courage, the sacrifice,
I'm gonna put him in
the
the bathroom
stubborn
where he
refusal
belongs,
to
in
give
this
up
stall.
even when everything seemed hopeless. We are survivors, she finally
it.
said.
No,
That is
shut the
what we
door.
are. 10,000 years
Oh.
of killing each other, and we are still
got
here.
mad.
That is not weakness.
right here in front of
That
us.
is strength.
Up this
A
hill.
terrible kind of strength, but strength nonetheless.
Who's he
12
shooting
hours
at?
remained.
Oh,
Doctor, the
they're fighting right here in the
astrophysicist
street.
coordinating the Doomsday Protocol, made her final
just
checks.
see-
Every nuclear weapon was ready.
Oh, this
Every
aim is
trigger was on.
trash.
If the order came, Earth would die
Yeah.
within hours.
I just have a.
She hoped the order would
pistol
never
and
come.
A fucking shotgun.
Is everything prepared? General asked through the video link.
Yep.
Yes, replied. Everything is ready, though I pray we never have to use it. As do I, said. But they must believe we will use it. They must have no doubt. Our willingness to die is the only weapon strong enough to stop them. 6 hours remained. The fleet began to move.
Me.
Every human on
I threw
Earth
one, I
stopped
don't
what
know
they
who
were
threw the other
doing.
one.
They looked at the sky, even though they could not see the ships. They waited for the end of the world. But the ships were not moving toward Earth. They were moving away. Admiral, the tactical officer, reported, the human
Destiny,
nuclear
there's the
weapons
slurper
are
here.
fully
Can you help?
armed. They have distributed launch authority to hundreds of commanders around the planet. Even if we destroy
fuck
their
is shooting at
leadership,
us?
the
Oh, right
weapons
here.
will still fire. Nodded slowly. The humans had thought of everything. They had made sure that their final
Nice.
act of defiance could not be prevented. They really will do it, he said. They really will destroy themselves. Then we cannot win. No, we cannot win this battle. The cost is too high, made his decision. Signal the fleet, we are withdrawing. The message spread across the armada. 300 warships turned away from Earth and began moving toward the edge of the solar system. On Earth, people began to cry.
said, "What?"
Some cried from relief. Some cried from joy. Some simply cried because the tension had finally broken. The aliens were leaving. Humanity had won. But Captain did not celebrate. She watched the retreating fleet and knew that this was not the end. They would remember what happened here. They would
it
tell
doesn't-
others.
it doesn't
And
look
someday,
like-
someone else would
It
come.
doesn't look like anyone was there, so.
We need to be ready, she said quietly. This was just the beginning. She was right. The fleet stopped at the edge of the solar system. They did not leave completely. They waited, floating in the dark space beyond Pluto, and Admiral made a decision that surprised his officers. He requested a meeting. The message came to Earth 3 days after the fleet. It was simple and direct. Admiral wished to speak with Captain.
shit.
He wanted to understand. The world's leaders debated for hours. Some said it was a trap. Others said it was an opportunity. In the end, they agreed to the meeting, but
Hello,
with conditions.
savage.
The conversation would be broadcast to every nation on Earth. There would be
we
no
said
secrets.
we were gonna go loot.
Whatever said, every human would hear it. Captain stood before the transmission console again. This time, she was not delivering
No one
a
was
warning.
there, and you know what's crazy?
This
you didn't
time,
even hear their
she was
fucking
having a
footsteps.
conversation with the alien who had threatened to destroy her world. His image appeared on the screen. He was tall and thin, with a body
even
made
get
of
to drink
something
it
that
yet,
looked like living
savage.
crystal. His face had no expression that could read, but his voice carried emotion. Captain, he said, thank you for agreeing to speak with me. You wanted to understand, replied. I will try to help you understand.
I was waiting for my gifter to come
Was
back
silent
so I
for
can
a
drink it
moment.
for him, but
You are not what we
he never
expected.
came back.
None of the other species we encountered behaved as you did. They begged, they bargained, they betrayed each other. But you united and prepared to die
Maybe.
together. We are humans, said simply.
owes me 5 more
This
gifts,
is what
though,
we
remember?
do. But why? You could have lived. You could have survived under our rule. Many of the species we conquered live comfortable lives now. They have food and shelter and safety. They are not mistreated.
That's crazy.
Thought about how to explain something that seemed so obvious to every human. There is a word in my language, she said. In Korean, we say it means self-respect, dignity, the feeling that you are a person worthy of respect, not a thing to be owned. We have a similar concept, said. Then you must understand. Living without is not really living. It is just existing. We would rather die with our dignity than live without it. Consider this. But surely survival is more important than abstract concepts like dignity. Life continues. Dignity is just a feeling. No, said firmly. Dignity is the foundation of everything else. Without it, survival means nothing. We have seen this in our own history. When people lose their dignity, they stop being people. They become empty, hollow, dead inside even while their bodies continue to breathe. I do not fully understand, admitted. Perhaps I can show you, said. In our history, there were places called concentration camps. They were prisons where people were treated like animals, given just enough food to survive, forced to work until they collapsed, stripped of all dignity and humanity. What happened to these people? Many of them chose death. They walked into electric fences. They attacked guards they knew they could not defeat. They chose to end their lives rather than continue existing without dignity. And the ones who survived, many of them said that the people who died fighting were the lucky ones. Absorb this information. You are saying that dignity is worth more than life itself. To humans, yes, we will sacrifice everything to keep our dignity. This is why we threatened to destroy our own planet. It was not madness. It was the most human thing we could have done. There was a long silence between them. Across Earth, billions of people watched and listened. I have conquered 17 worlds, finally said. I thought I understood what life was. I thought survival was the highest goal, but you have shown me something different. What have I shown you?
That's okay. We're playing one more.
That some species value things more than survival. That there are principles worth dying for. I have never encountered this before. The other species we conquered, they were gentle, peaceful. They evolved in environments where cooperation was always rewarded and conflict was always punished. They never developed this fierce attachment to dignity because they never needed to. Nodded, our world was different. Our world was harsh. Resources were limited. We had to fight for everything. The weak died and the strong survived. Over thousands of years, we became what we are, a species that will fight for our dignity until the last breath leaves our bodies. This makes you very dangerous, said. Yes, we know. Another silence. My commanders want to attack, said slowly. They believe we can absorb your resistance. They say that even if you destroy your planet, we will still have one because we will have eliminated a threat to the collective. They are wrong, replied. If you attack and we destroy ourselves, you will have proven something to every species you have conquered. You will have proven that resistance is possible, that the collective can be hurt, that even if you cannot win, you can make your enemy pay such a terrible price that victory becomes worthless. The other worlds would rebel. Eventually, yes. They are peaceful now because they believe there is no alternative. But once they see that humans chose death over submission, they will start to wonder. They will start to ask themselves if there are things worth dying for. And some of them will find answers that you will not like. Made a sound that might have been laughter, or might have been something else.
It froze completely?
You are asking me to leave not just to save Earth, but to save the collective. You are saying that conquering you would destroy us. I am saying that attacking us would plant seeds of rebellion in every world you rule. Seeds that will grow for generations until they bloom into something that will tear your empire apart. You would sacrifice your entire species to inspire rebellion in others. No, said. We would sacrifice our entire species because we refuse to live on our knees. The rebellion would just be a
There's fucking
bonus,
ice
a
chests
gift to
everywhere.
the universe from humanity's grave. Was silent for a very long time. On his ship, his officers watched him nervously. They had
Open
never
the
seen their
eyes.
admiral so uncertain. I am going to recommend that Earth be classified as a quarantine world, finally said.
There's literally
Too
one body right
dangerous to
here,
conquer,
one
too
over there.
unpredictable to
You want me to ping them
negotiate
all for
with.
you or what?
The collective will leave you alone. That is a wise decision, said. It is not a decision I make happily. You have humiliated the collective. We have never retreated before. There will be consequences for me and for my fleet. I am sorry for that, said, and she meant it. You seem like a reasonable being. I hope you are not punished too severely. Looked at her with something that might have been surprise. You care about what happens to me after I threaten to destroy your world. You were doing your job, following your orders. I cannot hate you for that. I can only be grateful that you listened when I spoke.
Hi, Santa Claus.
Another moment of silence. I have one question before I go, said. Ask. If you had surrendered, if you had chosen survival over defiance, what would have happened to your people? Thought carefully about her answer. We would have lived, she admitted. We would have had food and shelter and safety
There's
just as
guns
you
right
promised,
here.
but we would have stopped being human. The thing that makes us dangerous is the same thing that makes us worth saving. Our fierce independence, our stubborn pride, our willingness to fight even when we cannot win. She paused. If we gave that up, we would just be animals with technology. We would exist, but we would not live. And slowly, over generations, we would forget what it meant to be human. We would become exactly what you wanted, obedient slaves who never cause problems.
Oh, someone on Destiny.
I think I understand now, said. You would rather die as humans than live as something else. Exactly. Nodded slowly. Then I understand why you refuse to surrender, and I understand why we cannot defeat
I'm gonna
you.
go this way.
Because even if we kill every human on Earth, you will have won. Your defiance will live on in the memories of everyone who witnessed it. Yes, said. That is the human way. We may lose battles. We may lose wars, but we never truly lose because we never truly give up. Straightened his posture. Goodbye, Captain of Earth.
They're looking
I hope
for
we
you. That's
never meet
crazy.
again for both our sakes.
Where's Destiny?
Goodbye,
She's right here, I
Admiral of
think.
the
She's next to
Collective.
me.
Thank you for listening.
She's down to
The transmission ended. Within 1 hour, the fleet
on,
engaged
bitch.
their faster-than-light engines and vanished from the solar system.
I knew
They
there
did
was
not
two.
return.
That doesn't count. That doesn't
On
count.
Earth, people began to breathe again. The crisis was over. Humanity had survived. But everyone knew that nothing would ever be the same. Captain turned away from the console and found her crew watching her with tears in their eyes.
It was me.
We
I feel
did
like
it,
she's
whispered.
Not as thick. Yeah.
Yes,
As
said.
she-
We
Like,
did,
her
but
ass
this is not the
like,
end.
It should be bigger,
This
no?
is the beginning. The universe knows we are here now, and we need to be ready for whatever comes next. She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, other species were watching, waiting, wondering. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy, and the galaxy would never forget.
Chloe.
The world did not return to normal. It could not
There's a
return to
614.
normal.
I
Nothing
personally
would ever be
volunteered to
normal
go beat
again.
her ass.
For 3 weeks after the fleet disappeared, humanity held its
Jesse
breath.
fucking
Satellites tracked the aliens as they moved past Mars, past Jupiter, past Saturn.
judges everywhere.
Scientists watched until the fleet reached the edge of the solar system and vanished into faster-than-light travel. Only then did people start to believe it was really over. Lieutenant stood on the observation deck of the orbital station looking down at Earth. The planet looked the same as it always had. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds swirling over everything. From up here, you could not see the borders between countries. You could not see the weapons aimed at the sky. It does not feel real, said the station's communications officer. She had joined him at the window, her reflection ghostly against the glass. I keep thinking they will come back. They might, admitted.
What?
Someday,
He
but
can
not
read.
soon. We
He's-
taught them
we're
something
sharing
about
our
us.
chat.
What did we teach them? That the universe is more dangerous than they thought. That not every species will accept
okay.
slavery quietly, that some prey bites back. On the surface, the celebrations were quiet. There were no parades or festivals. Instead, there were small gatherings, families eating dinner together, friends meeting at bars and restaurants, soldiers returning home to people who had not expected to see them again. Sergeant Bara walked through the streets of Seoul, still wearing her uniform. The city looked the same, but the people were different. They moved more slowly. They spoke more softly. They looked at each other with new eyes. An old woman stopped Bora on the street. She was small and bent with age, her face wrinkled like paper that had been folded too many times. "You are a soldier," the old woman said. "Yes, grandmother. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to die for us."
Go!
Bora did not know what to say. She had not done anything heroic. She had just prepared to fight, like millions of other people around the world. She had been lucky that the fight never came. "I did not do anything special," she said. "I just did my duty." The old woman shook her head. "That is the most special thing of all, to do your duty when it means you might die, to stand ready to sacrifice everything. That is what saved us." She walked away before Bora could respond. The soldier stood alone on the crowded street and thought about what the old woman had said. Maybe she was right. Maybe the willingness to fight was just as important as the fighting itself. In Geneva, the world's leaders gathered to discuss what came next. The alliance that had formed during the crisis did not dissolve. Too much had changed. Old enemies looked at each other differently now. Doctor stood before the United Nations General Assembly. She was exhausted. She had not slept properly in weeks, but she had something important to say, and the world needed to hear it. "We were given a gift," she began. "A terrible gift, but a gift nonetheless. We were given a warning. The universe is vast, and we are not alone in it. Some of what we will encounter will be curious. Some will be friendly. And some will be like the predators who see conquest as natural law." She paused and looked around the room. Every seat was filled. Every leader was listening. "We cannot change what we are. Our history is written in blood and fire. We have committed terrible crimes against ourselves. We have waged wars that killed millions. We have built weapons that could destroy our entire world. But that history also contains something else: survival, adaptation, the stubborn refusal to accept extinction. When faced with impossible odds, we did not break. We did not scatter. We came together and said, 'No, not today.'" Her voice grew stronger. "Today, I am proud of humanity. Not because we are innocent. We are not innocent. We never have been. But because when faced with annihilation, we chose to be dangerous rather than compliant. We chose to warn our enemies rather than beg for mercy. We chose to die on our feet rather than live on our knees. Let that be the lesson we carry into the stars." The applause started slowly, then grew until it filled the chamber. For the first time in history, every nation agreed on something. Humanity would face the future together. In the weeks that followed, things began to change. The United Earth Defense Force was officially established. It was not perfect. There were arguments about funding and leadership and chain of command. Old rivalries did not disappear overnight, but the UEDF existed, and that was something that would have been impossible just 1 month before. Scientists began studying the data they had collected during the encounter. The alien ships had used technologies that humans did not understand, but they understood enough to know that learning those technologies was possible. "Give us 10 years, said the lead researcher, a man named. 10 years and we will have ships that can travel between stars." "And weapons?" General asked. "Those too, better shields, better energy cannons, better everything. They showed us what is possible. Now we just need to figure out how to do it ourselves." The work began immediately. But not everyone was focused on technology and military power. Captain stood before a panel of diplomats and philosophers. They had asked her to help them prepare for a very different kind of future. "We need to think about who we want to be," the lead diplomat, a woman named, said. "When we encounter other species, what will we say? How will we present ourselves?" Thought about Admiral. She remembered his confusion when she talked about dignity. She remembered his surprise when she showed concern for his fate. "We tell them the truth," she said. "We tell them exactly what we are. We do not pretend to be innocent or peaceful. We admit our history, all the wars and cruelty and violence. But we also tell them what we learned from that history." What did we learn? That strength comes from struggle. That courage is choosing to stand even when you are afraid. That dignity is worth more than life. That we will never surrender, never give up, never stop fighting for what we believe in. She looked at the diplomats. "We tell them that we want to be friends, that we will trade fairly and keep our promises and help those who need help. But we also tell them that we are not safe, that we are not gentle, that if they threaten us or our allies, we will make them regret it."
Who the fuck changed
"Some
my
species
music?
might not like that message," observed.
Who
"Then
the
they are
fuck
not
changed
species
music
we
right
want
now,
as
bro?
friends," replied. "We tried pretending to be better than we are. It did not work. The saw through it instantly. Better to be honest about who we are and let others decide if they can accept us." The diplomats discussed this for a long time. In the end, they agreed with this approach. Humanity would enter the galactic community as itself, dangerous, unpredictable, and proud. 6 months after the withdrawal, Lieutenant was promoted to commander. He was assigned to a new project, building Earth's first interstellar ship. "We are calling it Project Dawn," the project director told him, "because this is the beginning of a new era for humanity."
Dakota.
Looked at the plans on his screen. The ship was beautiful, long and sleek, with engines that could push it to incredible speeds. It would take
Oh, you
years
have
to
one
build,
skin?
but someday it would carry humans to other stars. "Why me?" he asked. "I am just a tactical analyst." "You were in the command center during the crisis," the director
Who?
said. "You
Becca?
saw how we came together. You understand what we are capable of when we stop fighting each other and start working together. The project needs people who believe in humanity, who believe we can do impossible things if we try hard enough. You are one of those people." Looked at the plans again. A year ago, he would have said interstellar travel was science fiction. Now it was just a matter of time. "I accept," he said. The director smiled. "Good. Welcome to the future, Commander." Across the world, millions of people were having similar conversations. Scientists joining research teams, soldiers training for space combat, engineers designing new technologies. Everyone had a role to play. Humanity was preparing for the stars. And this time, they would be ready for whatever they found there. A year after the left, Doctor stood on the observation deck of a new orbital station. It was 3 times larger than the old, with weapons and shields based on alien technology. Captain stood beside her. "We have come a long way," said. "And we have a long way to go," replied. They looked out at the stars together.
Yum.
Somewhere out there, Admiral was probably telling other species about Earth, warning them about the dangerous
sweater.
creatures on the little blue planet. Wondered what those other species thought. Did they believe warnings? Did they fear humanity? Did they respect them? She did not know, but she knew one thing: humanity would keep moving forward. They would keep building and learning and growing, and someday they would take their place among the stars. Not as slaves, not as victims, as equals. "What are you thinking about?" asked.
Yellow.
Smiled slightly. "I am thinking about the future, about what kind of people we will become." "What do you hope we become?" "I hope we stay human, with all our flaws and all our strengths. I hope we never forget what we learned during the
May,
crisis,
what are you doing?
that we are strongest when we stand together, and that there are some things worth dying for." She turned away from the window.
Definitely people here.
"Come on, we have work to do."
Holy shit.
They walked together into the station. leaving the stars
Okay.
behind.
I'm going
But
to this
only
house
for
right
now.
here.
50 years had passed since they came to Earth.
This one with the green.
The world had
Air
changed in
balloon,
ways that no
whatever
one
the
could have
fuck this is.
predicted. The old nations still existed, but they mattered less now. What mattered was the species. What mattered
There's a
was
gun?
humanity as a
Oh, you can
whole.
get that box actually. I'll have
The
this
unified Earth Defense Force had grown into a powerful military organization. Their ships patrolled the solar system constantly,
with you.
watching for threats that might come from the stars. Massive orbital stations circled Earth, Mars, and the moons of Jupiter. Colonies housed millions of people who had never set foot on them. And now, after decades of preparation, humanity was ready for its greatest step. Captain stood on the bridge of the starship. The name meant sky in Korean, but it seemed too small a word for
come
what
this
this
way
ship
with us.
represented.
Why are you
This
by
was not
yourself?
just a vessel. This was humanity's first step into the galaxy. 200 crew members waited at their stations.
Look, I defended you
They
right
came
now.
from
You didn't even
40
know he was
different
coming for you.
countries. They spoke dozens of languages.
I
They had
downed him.
trained for 5 years, preparing for a mission that would last 5 more.
What in the
All
fuck?
systems are ready, Captain, the first
You die?
officer reported. His name was Minu, and he had served
I
with
wanna
for
kill him.
15 years. We are prepared for departure.
Oh,
Looked at the
he's rolling
main
to his
screen.
Teammate, huh?
Earth floated in the center, blue and green and beautiful. He had been born on that planet. He had grown up running through rice fields and looking at the stars, wondering what was out there. Now he would find out. Open a channel to command, said. I want to speak with Admiral before we leave. The screen shifted, and an elderly woman
Fucking
appeared.
my aim is so bad.
Admiral was 84
Still kills
years
them,
old
but-
now, her hair completely gray and her face lined with decades of responsibility. But her eyes were the same as they had been 50 years ago,
what in the
sharp, determined, unafraid. Captain, she said, are you ready? Yes, Admiral. Thee is prepared for launch. We are waiting for your final briefing. Smiled slightly. I have given you hundreds of briefings over the past 5 years. What more is there to say? I think the crew would appreciate hearing from you one more time. You are the reason we are here. You are the reason any of this is possible. Was quiet for a moment, then she nodded. You understand the risks, she said. You may encounter something worse. You may find paradise. You may find nothing at all. No one knows what is waiting for you out there. We understand, replied. But I want you to remember something.
You guys
Something
need
that I learned 50 years ago when I stood in front of the aliens and told them who we are. She leaned forward, her eyes intense even through the screen. You are not looking for safety. You are looking for truth. You are going into the unknown because that is what humans do. We explore, we discover, we face our fears and move forward anyway. Do not try to hide who we are. Do not apologize for humanity's past. Tell the truth about us. Tell them that we are dangerous and proud and stubborn. Tell them that we fight and argue and sometimes make terrible mistakes. But also tell them that we love and sacrifice and refuse to give up. Tell them that we are human and that we are not afraid. Felt a shiver run down his spine. Even after
there's people
50
right
years, words had power.
Oh shit,
I will
he's
remember,
Russian.
Admiral. Good, she straightened in her chair. Then I have nothing more to say.
he's down.
Go,
I'm gonna
Captain,
push
find what
back.
is out
I don't know
there,
if he's by
and come
himself or
home
not.
to tell us about it. The transmission ended.
If you didn't
Turned
die
to
right
face his
away,
crew.
please.
They were all watching him, waiting for the order that would launch them into history. You heard the Admiral, he said. We are not looking for safety. We are looking for truth, and we are going to find it. He took a deep breath. Engage the engines. Take us to the stars. The engines roared to life. The ship began
go
to
towards
move,
circle.
slowly at first, then
We're
faster and
outside.
faster.
It's
Earth
moving in
fell away
slowly.
behind them. The moon passed in a blur.
Gas
They
station.
crossed the orbits of Mars and Jupiter in hours instead of months. And then they reached the edge of the solar system, the point where no human had ever gone before. Activating faster-than-light drive, Minu reported. We will reach our destination in approximately 3 months. Then let us begin, said. Space twisted around the Stars stretched into lines of light, and then they were gone, racing through the universe faster than anyone had ever traveled before. The crew cheered. Some of them cried. They had done it. They had left their home behind and launched themselves into the unknown.
I'm right here.
But was not thinking about the
Dude, I'm
past.
in the fucking
He was thinking
circle,
about the future.
right outside where you are.
Somewhere ahead, other species were living their lives, going to work, raising families, building civilizations. They did not know that humans were coming. They did not know that the galaxy was about to change.
I know, so
Activated the ship's external broadcast system. The message would travel ahead of them, announcing their arrival to anyone who could receive it. This is the Earth vessel, he said. We come in peace, but we are not peaceful. We offer friendship, but we are not naive. We seek knowledge, but we are not defenseless. He paused, remembering all the stories he had heard about the crisis, remembering Admiral's words, remembering what humanity had learned about itself in those terrifying 72 hours. We are humans. We warned you once 50 years ago. Consider this a reminder. We are not innocent, and we never will be. The message repeated on every frequency as they flew through the darkness between stars. It would reach distant worlds long before the ship arrived. Other species would hear it and wonder what kind of creatures were coming. Hoped they would be curious. He hoped some of them would want to be friends. But he was ready for the ones who did not. Far behind the Earth continued to turn. Billions of people went about their daily lives, knowing that 200 of their kind were out there in the darkness, carrying humanity's hopes with them. In her office at the Defense Force headquarters, Admiral watched the ship's tracking signal until it disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Then she leaned back in her chair and smiled. She was old now. Her body ached, and her mind was not as sharp as it used to be. But she had lived to see this day. She had lived to see humanity take its first step into the stars. "Goodbye, Captain," she whispered. "Make us proud." On a distant planet, in a crystalline city that humans had never seen, an elderly received an automated alert. A message from Earth was spreading through the galaxy. Admiral, now retired and nearly forgotten, listened to the broadcast. The human's voice was confident, unafraid. It reminded him of another voice from 50 years ago. He laughed. "Magnificent creatures," he murmured to himself. "Absolutely terrifying, absolutely magnificent." He had spent the last 5 decades trying to explain humanity to other species. Some believed him. Some thought he was exaggerating. Some thought he was a coward who had fled from a weak species.
Thank you so much, Bonkers.
Now they would see the truth for themselves. Pulled up his old files and found the classification he had given Earth all those years ago. It was still in effect. No ship had approached the solar system since the withdrawal. But now humans were coming out. Now they were spreading into the galaxy. He added a note to the file, a warning for anyone who might encounter them. They are exactly as dangerous as they claim to be, perhaps more so. Do not underestimate them. Do not threaten them. And whatever you do, do not make them angry.
Fuck, bro.
He thought for a moment, then added one more line. They call themselves humanity. Remember that name. You will be hearing it for a very long time. He saved the file and leaned back in his chair. Somewhere out there, a human ship was flying toward unknown stars. Soon there would be more ships, then colonies, then trade routes and alliances and all the complications that came with interstellar civilization.
Dude, I can't
The galaxy was about to change. And despite everything, was glad. The universe had been too quiet for too long. It needed something new, something dangerous, something that refused to follow the old rules. It needed humanity. In the darkness of space, the flew on. Its crew slept and worked and dreamed about what they might find. Its captain stood on the bridge and watched the stars stream past. They were going into the unknown. They did not know what was waiting for them, but they went anyway because that was what humans did. They were not innocent. They had never been innocent, but maybe that was okay. Maybe the
We're only down
universe
the
did
hill.
not need innocent species. Maybe it needed survivors, fighters, dreamers who refused to
I
accept
wrote down.
limits.
I'll get star.
Maybe it needed humans. Captain smiled and watched the stars.
Yeah, I wrote.
The future was out there, waiting to be discovered. And humanity was ready to find it.